My dear brothers and sisters, in the first reading, we meet the prophet Elijah, who is sent by God to a widow in Zarephath during a time of severe famine. Despite her own dire circumstances, the widow is willing to share the little food she has with Elijah, an act of faith and generosity in the face of scarcity. Her trust in Elijah's words that God will provide is rewarded as her jar of flour and jar of oil do not run dry. This story reminds us of that faith often requires us to give even when it seems we have little, and to trust that God will sustain us. Have you ever been in a situation where you have lost hope? You are in despair. You have nothing to do. And you see darkness here and there. And then from nowhere, Elijah comes and says, relax. Something is going to happen. This widow in Zarephath knew that time has come for her to die with her son. But someone comes to give her hope. My dear brothers and sisters, do you have Elijah in your life? I do have Elijahs in my life. Sometimes I go through something and I have seen Elijahs coming to me. Father Patrick, don't lose hope. We are together. I feel like, God is at hand. We are all invited to trust in the Lord. When you feel hopeless, Elijah is coming. So long as we open up and say, this is what I'm going through. The woman, the widow, was open, told Elijah, this is the only little food I do have, and then we die. Elijah said, from today onwards, your jar will be filled. In the second reading, the author of Hebrews highlights Jesus' role as a high priest who entered the true sanctuary, heaven itself, to offer his own sacrifice for humanity. Unlike the high priests of old, who repeatedly entered the earthly sanctuary with the sacrifices, Jesus entered once and for all to offer his life for our salvation. His sacrifice was perfect, complete, and final. This reading invites us to ponder the depth of Christ's love and his ultimate gift, given freely to redeem us. It encourages you and me to live in gratitude for the sacrifice that has already been made, and to be mindful that we are now called to live a life in line with his love and generosity. In the gospel reading, my dear brothers and sisters, Jesus contrasts the flamboyant behavior of the scribes with the humble, generous act of a poor widow. The scribes seek honor and recognition, yet their faith lacks substance. In contrast, the widow quietly offers 2 small coins, all she has to live on, as her offering to God. Jesus honors her act, not because of the amount she gave, but because of the spirit with which she gave it. Her generosity, born out of poverty, reveals a profound trust in God and a willingness to give all for Him. My dear brothers and sisters, we all depend on God. How do we react when we are going through something? When we have nothing? Sometimes we forget God. Sometimes we grumble around, saying, God has forgotten me. And yet, we are supposed to depend entirely on God. These 2 widows in today's readings, they depended on Jesus, on God. They knew that Jesus, God, is the provider. These readings, my dear brothers and sisters, remind us that true generosity and faith are measured not by the magnitude of our gifts, but by the heart and trust with which we give. My dear brothers and sisters, the country where I come from, someone can donate. When someone is going to donate, for example, $100, he or she has to invite news reporters to come to show that he or she is going to donate. They want just to show off. But God sees the heart. We need to imitate these 2 widows who gave their whole being to Christ, because we came with nothing and we are going back with nothing, which means all the things we do have belong to God. We have to give all being of us to God. The widow in Zarephath gave the little she had, trusting that God would care for her and her son. The poor widow in the temple gave her last 2 coins quietly, with the total self-giving, holding nothing back. She knew that God is going to provide. What would happen to you when you see your accounts, bank accounts, shrinking? There's nothing. You become unsettled. Sometimes you might even say, I'm not going to church. I have financial issues. Not trusting in God. The God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, who created you, knows what you need. These 2 widows knew that they have nothing on this earth. Everything belongs to God. Both women, the widows, serve as examples of profound faith and complete dependence on God. We are invited, my dear brothers and sisters, to reflect on our own attitudes towards giving. Are we like the scribes, offering to God from our abundance while seeking recognition? Or are we able to give from the heart, offering not just our resources, but our time, our love, and our lives in the spirit of faith and humility? In the world we live in today, often values wealth and status. Today's gospel reminds us that God values a generous heart. Jesus sees beyond appearance. He sees the love, the trust, and the sacrifice behind our actions. Let us then give not only from our surplus, but from our hearts, trusting in God's providence and embracing a spirit of humble service to others. As we partake this Eucharist, may we be inspired by the two widows in today's readings. May we learn to give as they gave, with complete faith and trust in God, knowing that He will provide all that we need. Amen.
Thank you for joining us today. Our digital ministry provides a valuable service to parishioners and visitors alike. Daily and Sunday Mass, funerals, weddings, and fireside chats, among other things, can be seen locally, throughout the country, and even the world, in real time or at one's convenience. If you would like to support this effort, please go to olphglenview.org. Click on the gold Donate button and then the Sunday Giving icon to make a contribution on our secure online giving portal. We sincerely appreciate your past and ongoing support. Thank you for helping us continue this ministry. God bless.